my YouTube channel. I'm Poppy Webber, I'm a saddle fitter with the Society of Master Saddlers, and today I'm here to dispel the myth around the D to D measurements on your saddle. Now, we've all seen those adverts on Facebook and on the internet where people are describing the width of their saddles by giving you the D to D measurement. And I'm going to tell you today why that is the worst way to measure your saddles ever. First of all, let's talk very quickly about D-rings, what they are. D-rings are these little rings in the shape of kind of a D in some saddles, and this one is more of an O. And they are there to attach things like breastplates, the little strap that my daughter has on the front of her saddle, cup holders, whatever you like. So that's a D-ring. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that D-rings are structural or are in a specific place, and that is why they think that D to D measurement is in some way relevant. It's not. It really isn't. D-rings can be put anywhere on the saddle. In this particular one, they're set here. On some saddles, they're set a little bit lower. On some, they're set a little bit higher. On some, they're set further back. Some, they're set further forward. Where the D-ring sits on the saddle is not set in stone, and therefore the measurement from D-ring to D-ring is also not set in stone. So much varies with D-rings that they are really not a reliable form of measurement. So I'm just going to go and grab another saddle for you to show you that has more than one set of D-rings, and then we can start to see how vague these things can be. So here's another saddle. This saddle has a D-ring similar to that other one, except you might notice that this one is set slightly further back and slightly lower down. It also has another D-ring. So we've got a D-ring under the skirt, and we have a D-ring here, much higher up, much further forward under the flap. So if you were to sell this saddle and describe the D to D measurement, first of all, which D-ring would you use? Would you use this one that's quite set back and quite difficult to find and would be quite difficult to measure to? Or would you use this one here that was slightly easier to find but significantly lower down? Because the height of the D-ring is incredibly important. So let's go back to the first saddle to demonstrate why. So here I am back with the original saddle. So let's measure this saddle from D-ring to D-ring. And we can see that it comes up at, I would say, probably 8 1/4 inches. Now, if the saddler that made this saddle on the day he made the saddle chose to set the D-rings an inch lower, for example, which you could quite easily have done, because again, there is no set places for the D-rings to be, then the D-ring measurement would be probably closer to 10 inches. So because there's no set place for the D-rings to be, they really can't be used as a reliable measurement, can they? Now, one of the reasons I've chosen this particular saddle to demonstrate is because this saddle has cream front facing, patent's cream at that, so it's quite easy to see. So you can quite clearly see the width of this saddle. It's a medium wide, by the way. You can quite clearly see it here. So we know, having just measured, that the D to D on this saddle is about 8 1/4 inches. And this is a medium wide. So I'm just going to go and grab an extra wide saddle. So this here is an extra wide saddle. So we can see that this saddle is significantly wider than the one below. Yeah? Extra wide, medium wide, extra wide, medium wide. So if we were to measure the D-ring measurement on this saddle, bearing in mind this is a medium wide and this is an extra wide, we're going to expect this measurement to be significantly more than this measurement, aren't we? So let's give that a go. D-ring there, D-ring there. Oh, look at that, it's probably 7 1/2, maybe 7 3/4. So the D-ring measurement on this extra wide saddle is less than the D-ring measurement on this medium wide saddle. And why is that? It's because the saddler that's made this saddle has put the D-rings slightly higher up than on this saddle. So if you look at the D-rings on this saddle here, they're much closer to the top of the skirt, whereas the D-rings on this saddle here are about an inch lower down from the skirt. So the D-ring measurement has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the width of your saddle. If you are ever tempted to sell a saddle or buy a saddle please, 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 please never, ever use D to D as a guide to the width of the saddle, because it has no relation whatsoever to the width of the saddle. If you want to know the width of your saddle, the only true way of knowing is to ask a saddle fitter. Saddles do, however, often have their width stamped on them. So this saddle has it stamped on its stirrup bar here. It also has it stamped under the flap here. You can see it says extra wide. Some have them stamped here. But in all honesty, that's not 100% guaranteed, unless it's a new saddle you've just got from manufacturer, because they are often adjusted. So if you've bought a second-hand saddle, you don't know how much it's been adjusted in its lifetime, so it might be slightly different. But no matter what you do, please never, 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 never use the D to D ring as a measurement, because I hope I've just shown you here, it means nothing. Nothing at all. If you are genuinely interested in the width of the trees, then although I've told you to follow this spacing, this is only a general guide. Actually, to really determine the width of a tree, we need to see the actual tree itself, which you can see in here. And width is actually determined by angle of the tree. Maybe this is something we'll do another video about in the future, but yeah, it's the angle of the tree that determines the width. It's nothing to do with D-rings. You'll also see some people referring to like the width in here, how many fists they can get in here. But actually, again, this is quite a good example. I've got just over a fist's worth in there. I've got well over a fist's worth in there. Yet this is a medium wide and this is an extra wide. There's so many variants that the only true way to know the width of your saddle is to measure the angle of the tree. But I'm going to say it one more time. The worst way to measure the width of your saddle is using the D-rings. Don't do it, please. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment below if you found it interesting. Comment below if you've got any other ideas or any questions about this. In the meantime, enjoy, have a lovely day, and don't forget to keep smiling.